Hello everyone, and welcome to another 12 Days of Christmas in July video. This time I've got a really cool card that is actually only one layer. So it might look like this little center strip is popping off the page, but it's really not. It's all on the same piece of cardstock, and it's a really cool effect, and it's really easy to achieve. So I'll show you how we do that along the way. Let's get started in putting this card together. Alright, so the two stamp sets we're using Peaceful Flakes by Catherine Pooler, and this one has a whole bunch of snowflakes, and there are also accompanying dies for this one. We won't be using those in this project today though. And then a repeat performer in this whole series, The Big and Bold Holidays from scrapbook.com. I really can't get enough of this stamp set. It is super versatile. I love how big the sentiments are. It really makes putting together holiday cards a breeze. So those are the two things we're using, and we're going to start with the Peaceful Flakes to get the snowflakes on the top and the bottom set up here. So also, because I'm using this craft cardstock, I'm using Distress Oxides because it gives me a nice, crisp, bold look, and the ink doesn't melt into the paper like a regular dye ink would. So that's a big tip. If you want to use any different color of Distress Oxide, of course you can do that. Okay, so I have my stamp positioner set up here, and I know that I have my snowflakes set up as well, and I know that in order to get them in just the right place, I want to set this up on the 1 inch mark, and I want to bring it in a ½ inch here. And I'm also going to be using this really wide 3M post-it tape to mask off an area, and I already have a piece of it here. So I'm down, this is like 5 inches, or 4 inches I should say, so I'm going to put this right in between at the 2 inch mark, and it'll come right across. And this is of course just to mask off that area. And you can see that when this comes across, I'm going to get half the snowflake. So we'll just ink this up with the candied apple. And again, like, I really love using Distress Oxides for this technique because the ink just really shines on different colored paper, not just white. Alright, so I didn't get a good impression in the center here, but that's alright. That's what a second stamping is for. Or a third even if I need it. Okay, that looks pretty good. There we go. Okay, so one side is done, and then I'm going to do exactly the same thing. Just flip the card over 180 degrees, line it up on my 1 inch mark, like so. And now I will get my mirror image. Well, it's not really truly a mirror image because these two snowflakes are different from each other, so they're kind of like an opposite, but the effect still works. Alright, looks like this middle one just really doesn't like to leave me a good impression. Sometimes when you mask things off though, you have to work a little harder to make sure that you get the line exactly where you want it to be. So, and I'm sure that's what's happening here. Alright, good. I've got good impression here. And so now when I pull up my mask, that's like the most satisfying thing ever. I've got a perfect space down the center. Alright, so I'm going to clean these up and we'll reset for the sentiment. Okay, since I still had this just right in place, I'm going to leave it right where it is and bring in my Merry Christmas sentiment and align that so it looks pretty centered. And then we'll just go ahead and ink this guy up with the same candied apple Distress Oxide. So I'm not using any of the other features of the Distress Oxide today. No adding water or anything like that. Although that is one of the features, is that it will give you a really cool oxidation when you add water to it, but I'm just using the feature that allows it to look really good on colored paper. Okay, there we go. Doesn't that look gorgeous? I mean, I just really, really love this. Okay, so let me pull this off here. It's going to take just a minute to dry, and when it's dry, we'll come back and work in the line and the shading that makes it look like it's popping off the page. All right, this is now completely dry. So the first step in putting in this shading is to add a line to it. And I'm just using a 01 precision pen from American Craft and a ruler, of course, to get a line across the top and the bottom here. And this is going to help with both aligning the shading and just giving us a really nice line for the whole thing to really look like it's popping off the page. All right. So there you go. Some perfect lines here. All right, and if you've seen any of my other videos, I like to use graphite pencils. Now you can use just a regular pencil for this technique. Of course, the graphite, depending on which hardness it is, it will add more or less graphite more easily. So this is an 8B, and it puts down graphite pretty generously. So I'm really just going for some light shading, and then I'm going to use these little blending stumps to blend everything out. So I'm just going up against that line that I created here and up a little bit into the snowflake design, and making sure I go all the way to the edge. So that's pretty good. Do the same thing on the other side. And then I'll come in and blend this out. So it's a really cool effect, and it really doesn't take a whole lot of effort. And the nice thing about this is if you're going to send this card in the mail, now you have a flat card that isn't going to take any extra postage, which is always kind of a nice thing. Okay, so now I'm going to take a blending stump, and this is just a 1/4 inch stump, and just start to blend out those lines to make them nice and smooth and get some gradation from dark to light. And that's what really makes this whole thing pop off the page. Pretty cool, right? There's really not a lot I can say about this technique, except that you want to definitely start with less graphite to begin with. It's just like watercoloring and other color techniques that you want to start with less and add more if you need to. The only saving grace that you have is an eraser that you can use to pick up excess graphite if you feel like you have too much down in one place. Otherwise, just like any other technique, it's practice. And you can see here that sometimes I do little swirls and sometimes I do more of a straight. And that's just really to get the blend in here really, really good. I don't want to see any swirly marks. I don't want to see any straight lines. But if I kind of do a combination of both, then they will really blend out. All right, and you can see I'm almost done here. A lot of times I do speed taping through this, but I wanted to show you in real life how long it really takes to do something like this, and it's not long at all. Honestly, if I was going to do a set of these for Christmas cards, I would stamp them all up and get the lines on here and sit in front of the TV and just do blending all night. and I'd have them done quite quickly. And there you go. So now it looks like it's popping off the page. All right, so there's just one more thing to finish off this panel, and that's just to add a few little extras. I really felt like it was a little lacking in interest when I did up the original design, so I added in a few little background pieces, and these all come from the same stamp set. So I just added in some of these little dots, and I think that it really added quite a bit to the design. So I got the little dots in, and then I used some of the small snowflakes as well. And I had those come off the page because that way it really gives the whole pattern some movement. And I really should have put something underneath here, but that's okay. And I put this guy up in the corner. There, and that really fills out the design quite a bit. All right, so the rest of the assembly is super straightforward. I just have a piece of chili pepper from Lawn Fawn here, and we'll just mount these two, and this card is finished. So while I'm finishing this up, I will remind you to subscribe to my channel so you can follow along with all the great projects, tips, tricks, tutorials that I put out every week. And don't forget about the 12 days giveaways. There's a Google form that you fill out just once, and if you leave comments here and on my blog posts, those give you extra entries each day. So you could be winning some prizes. I'm going to be announcing those prizes on August 5th after the 12 days is done, and we're reaching the end of it. If you haven't caught all the videos and projects, you can go back and catch those and leave comments between now and the 1st, and I'm going to be announcing on the 5th all the winners. See, perfect timing. So another really fantastic card that you could start working on now and have plenty of just in time to send for the holidays. I hope you're enjoying this series, and I hope to see you again here soon. But until next time, happy crafting.